This morning we're going to talk about getting set up to actually do the tune. I'm using the Harley Screaming Eagle Pro Street Tuner. It is the EPA legal tuner. They do have a super tuner. It's the orange box instead of the black box, which allows you to program outside of, smog parameters. So those of you that have the super tuner that hadn't married it to another bike and you're able to use it on your new Milwaukee, awesome. There are some services on eBay and a few other places that people have figured out ways to reset the VIN lock. So you could possibly go get a super tuner. But for right now, we're going to look at getting the software. So we're going to go to the Street Performance Tuner, harleydavidson.com/street tuner. On this page, you can, put in your actual VCI serial number right down here, or just put in all ones. Just keep hitting one until they stop. So, just hold one, da 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 da, nothing. All right, and then download Street Tuner. It's going to suck down about 150 megs, so depending on your internet connection, it may take a minute. While you're chilling here, you can look over here, and there's the Pro Street Tuner training. It's pretty comprehensive. It's kind of like watching a PowerPoint for the training. There are some click-throughs and shows you how to navigate the menus and gives you an idea how to start using the Smart Tune and things like that. So if you've got some time on your hands, it's definitely a worthy look through. Now, those of you that have a Mac, you are able to program your bike using the Screaming Eagle software, which is a Windows-only software. You just got to jump through a couple little hoops first. If you're going to need a virtual machine, and there is a free one called VirtualBox. It's supported by Oracle. It's open source. It's virtualbox.org. Get it for OS X hosts. Once you get that downloaded, there is a sneaky little free way to get a Windows virtual machine directly from Microsoft, so you're not poking around any torrents or anything. Microsoft allows developers to be able to test their web pages on the Internet Explorer browser, and they know that not all developers are using Windows. So they offer these free virtual machines. They are 90-day limited, but when you put them in VirtualBox, if you take a snapshot, you can roll it back, and you can restart your 90-day trial. Just make sure before you roll back any maps or anything that you've saved on that virtual machine are sent to the cloud or moved over to the regular Mac hard drive. But it's developer.microsoft.com/enus. You can kind of see it right up here. You can get Windows 7, you can get Windows 8, you can get Windows 10. I'm a Windows 7 guy. I like Windows 7. I know it's stable. I know it works with 99% of all software out there. So I'll just come down here and I'll usually grab the IE11 Windows 7. We need to select our platform since we are using VirtualBox. Obviously we're going to pick VirtualBox. If you happen to have Parallels or VMware, have at it. Download the zip. It is a large file. It's 3.5 gigs, something like that. Once you get all that, you can go to your applications, you'll get it installed, and you'll do new machine, you'll bring in the virtual machine you just downloaded. You'll start it up, and now we're where everyone else would be. Don't worry about all the gobbledygook in the background. Don't worry about it. So now we're all on the same page, everybody's running Windows, everybody's happy. We've downloaded our Street Tuner software. If you did it on the Mac, you need to move it over to your VM. If you did it on the Windows, you'll probably find it, up here in your downloads. Run the install, give it your password, let it load, just like every other piece of software you've ever installed on your computer. When it's finished, you're going to get this Screaming Eagle Pro Street Tuner icon on the desktop. Give that thing a double smack. It's going to fire up. It's probably going to check and see if there's any software updates. It's going to look for any map updates that Harley might have released. Just hit tune your motorcycle. It shows you the various connections. I don't know what it's showing you, a super tuner connector there, the orange one, but there's your the gray connector that on the 2018 is under the left side cover. I've got a video that shows where to go get that. And inside here, now it's going to pop up. It's going to ask us to choose our calibration. When we open this up, we can go to the left side and start plugging in numbers for your bike. If you're not using a 2018, so be it. Pick whatever it is you need. I happen to be using the 2018, and mine is an FXFBS. The S is for the 114. We've got a bunch of canned tunes for Harley Screaming Eagle hardware. All these tunes were developed to be used with the hardware you can buy out of Harley's catalog. I'm not using Harley hardware for my stage 1. But if I click on stage 1, it's going to show me the components that Harley's saying belongs with that can tune. So we've got a Screaming Eagle air cleaner and a Screaming Eagle exhaust. So slip-ons and their high flow air cleaner. We go to 2, that's the torque. It's probably going to toss a cam in there. Yep, and there's that specific camshaft. We go to power, it's a little different camshaft. Stage 3, it does the bump to the 117, cam, so on and so forth. Ported heads, whatever. Whatever modifications you happen to have made to your bike, just pick the tune that gets closest. If it's not Screaming Eagle components, pick something that's relatively close. You're gonna dial it in later anyway. So for my application, it was the 114 stage 1. Click open. Yes, I know, appropriate calibrations, EPA, $15 million MoCo paid because they gave you a tuner that allowed you to actually do something with your bike. All the stuff that you're able to tune is over here on the side. Most of what we're going to be worrying about is the VEs on the front and rear cylinders. You can see the original VEs. When we go out and we start data logging, you're going to want to ride at all RPMs, all throttle positions, in all gears. It's going to be a pain in the butt. It's going to take a lot of time. You're going to, find a nice, open, empty stretch of road and get yourself bored real quick. What we're trying to do is cover all the data points so that when we bring the data log back in and it does its little smart tune thing, because if we look at the smart tune, we don't have any data loaded. See, all the table entries are empty. When it does its little data thing and it compares the original to what we data logged, it will make the necessary changes in the calibration file so we can upload a new tuning file that more closely matches the current conditions of our bike. And then, if you didn't hit all your data points, you can go out and log again. And if you didn't hit all your data points, you can go out and log again. This is where, if you are able to get some dyno time, there is, when you do your data record, there's an option whether you're going to do street data recording or whether you're going to do dyno data recording. And if you're going to do dyno data recording, it will bring up a big picture that shows all the data points. And they turn green as you hit them. So you can sit there on the dyno and move the throttle back and forth, change the gears on your little rolling road, and make sure you get all the points. Much easier than kind of doing it on the street. But, what's dyno time? $100 an hour, $150 an hour? And then if you have a dyno operator that's not trying to sell you their super skill tuning ability where they can get you 6,000 horsepower out of your, Milwaukee V-twin. There's a lot of them that won't let you use their dyno unless they're actually tuning your bike. So to find one that's going to let you do the tuning while they run the dyno, might be easy, might be not. Either way. So when we get back and we get the data logging done, we're going to be pretty much working with the VE rear cylinders. But you have the ability to take a poke at, spark advance. It lets you move a couple degrees here and there. It's not going to let you do much in the way of, modifying, because everything has to remain smog legal. The Super Tuner lets you modify everything under the sun. But Right now we are at a very light stage. There's not much equipment on my bike. I've got a cleaner and I've got pipes. No big deal. I've already loaded the Stage 1 can tune. I rode about 100 miles on it yesterday. It ran great. There was no flat spots. I had a very minimal amount of decel popping, which, it's an open exhaust. There's no cats. The muffler is straight through. I've got long shots on my Sportster. I had, Vance and Hines slashes on my Dyna. I'm used to big open exhaust, and those are all carbureted. There's decel pop. It's kind of the nature of the beast when you run open exhaust, or at least it has been for me. Maybe I'm not been able to dial the bikes in just right. Either way, the bike is running really good. So after data logging and I bring in the Smart Tune data, I'm not going to expect to see much change from the original to the Smart Tune. But whatever it does decide to change, whenever there's more than, say a 0.5% difference between what the original was and what Smart Tune data logs, it'll go ahead and highlight the cells for change. We can reload the new calibration file that's been tuned for our bike and, keep getting things dialed in. If we didn't hit all the load cells we want, because a lot of us don't ride in, certain positions a lot. We're probably going to be all right here in this, little small fat area. I'm not going wide open throttle all the time, and I'm certainly not running it up to 5,000, 5,500 RPM all the time. And I'm also not doing a very minimal throttle input at idle RPM. So to hit all of these spots is going to be a real pain in the butt, and you've got to do it in all the gears to try to get the best tune that you possibly can. And you're never going to get it perfect. You're going to get it satisfactory. You're going to get a bike that you're going to enjoy riding, and it's not going to be, it's not going to be miserable. It's not going to be something that you wish you hadn't done. It's going to be enjoyable. It's going to give you the power you're expecting. You'll be able to utilize the new hardware that you just spent a bunch of money on. So we'll get this hooked up to the bike. I'll show you how to set up the recording, and I guess I will put on some snivel gear and go out and actually I'll do some riding this morning so I can get some data, see if I can't freeze my fingers off, and we'll bring that back and load in the recorded data and see what tables we change. Alright, now we've got the bike turned on and I've got it connected. You can see down here we have a nice little green icon. Those of you that are using the virtual box, you might have to come down here and click on the Silicon Labs Harley tuner after you plug it into the Mac so that it actually comes over here. Right now we're going to go to record. And here's the current ECM information. That's the current calibration ID. That's the ID of the Stage 1 file that I already put in. We'll go ahead and we'll press the program the motorcycle. And it's going to run through, connect into the VCI, and send his stuff to the ECM, get everything ready to record. Now I'm curious, they've got that new Smarty Tune wideband kit. It's $400. I'm really curious if it's actually worth it over tuning with these narrow bands. I mean, I've tuned my high performance. I've had WRXs and turbo cars and things like that I've tuned with wide bands before, and they really helped. But I wonder how much it actually helps on this. All right, and so let's follow the instructions. Before we continue, we must turn off the vehicle ignition switch. So let's flip the switch. The bike is now off. Alright, it says wait 10 seconds. We're waiting. Alright. The bike is back on. And we will hit continue. Now, like I said earlier, here's where it would let you pick whether you're going to do road riding or dyno, and there have been people that have, made remote screens or strapped their laptop to their bike and actually done the dyno tuning on the road. Yeah, I might think about doing that. I'm crazy enough. But for right now, the radio button right here, VCI recording, we're going to do while riding our motorcycle. Hit continue. It's going to verify that it's, talking to the little box. And when this is all done, we're going to disconnect the box with the joys of VirtualBox. When I turned it back on, it did not reconnect to the frickin' Windows. Now I have a green. Oh! No! Alright, so Windows kicked my butt just a few minutes ago, and when I was about to set it to do road recording, it decided it wanted to sling an update in my face. And like I mentioned before, those of you that are running this VirtualBox, make sure you got a green check mark down here, and if not, go down here and make sure you're connected to the Silicon Labs Harley VCI. So we'll hit the continue, and let's see, VCR record mode, ECU detected, off ECU detected, yep. Alright, now we're going to prepare the VCI for data recording. Now when we actually do the data recording, we want to do it with a fully warmed up engine, so maybe the ride to wherever you're going to do your testing and all that jazz, should get your motorcycle up to operating temperature. Alright, so if we follow the instructions, we disconnect the VCI from the PC, we leave it connected to the bike, we secure the cable. Now we're in data record mode. And as we're doing that, we can, start and stop records with the button on the VCI. So now disconnected the VCI from the computer, but it's still connected to my bike. So I'm not turning the power off on my bike, and I'm going to go ahead and start it up. Come back from doing the data log, and when you come back, you just hit review data. It will download the VCI. If while you're riding you happen to see the VCI doing a real fast blink, you're not doing any good, your buffer's full. It'll go through, ask if you want to apply the recommended smart tune adjustments. Just click through, say yes. I forgot to turn the screen recording on when I did that. And it will show you the changes that it thinks it needs to make. So right here, looking at the VE for the front cylinder, you can see the cells. The cells highlighted in turquoise are change cells. The ones in red are going to be at their maximum value. So that means there's going to be no possible change in them anymore. I guess that's kind of the sucky part of dealing with an EPA tuner. And the green ones are minimum value. Now, looking at this, you can see 1000 RPM, throttle position. None of this was probably hit. In my riding, I probably missed, that section. I did a good bit of spirited riding. I did some riding downtown through some traffic. You can see wide open throttle. All of this running at the throttle percentages of, what is it, fourth row over, 10% throttle all the way through 100% throttle, and right around where you do the majority of your riding, probably from around 1700 RPM, and if you're kicking it wide open throttle, 5000 RPM. So everything right here is what it wants to apply to the tune on the front cylinder, and everything over here is what it wants to apply to the tune on the rear cylinder. So we can go through and it will make the necessary changes, and if we can go in and manually change things. So if you think you need to bump something up, you can go in and bump it up. If you need to bump it down, bump it down. Increase, decrease, 0.5%. Let's see. Yeah, it shows the original. There's the smart tune for the VE front and rear cylinder. So it looks like all it really messes with is the VE. And once you're satisfied that that tune's going to be, what you want to use, go ahead and hit Program Motorcycle, and it will modify the original calibration file and load your new calibration file with the necessary changes. And then if you want, you go back out and data log again, and till you're satisfied that it's not making any recommended changes. There's no more than 0.5% from the original to the modified one. Let's see if we can take a look at the original VE for the front. Let's see. All right, so yeah, here's the original VE front cylinder. Here's our current working VE for the front cylinder. So at 850, I guess that's 4% throttle. It's wanting to fatten it up a little bit, and yep, 1125. So it's kicking some extra fuel. It's wanting to push, some changes. It's wanting to take a little fuel away. So at 1250 at 7.5% throttle, what do we got? 813. So 1250. It's adding a little bit. 87. So it's 1750 at 15%. Stock's 91. It's pulling a little bit. It's pulling a little bit back. It's pulling to 87. Like I said, it's trial and error, unless you're a really skilled tuner and what the adjustments are going to do. It's best to probably let the software do it for you. And unfortunately, everything in red is maxed out. So if it did need more fuel in that area, EPA says no. So I'll program this to the motorcycle, and I'll ride around on that tune for a little while. I might do some more data logging and take a look at that and let you guys know if it decides it wants to change anything else. I'll try to hit some more of these data cells that were probably missed. This is where tuning on a dyno would give you a better tune. Again, not necessarily a better tune, but it's easier to get your tune sorted out, because you're on the dyno. It would show you, hey, you're missing the 60% throttle at 850 RPM, and you would attempt to try to get that to happen. The majority of us don't ride here. It probably won't affect rideability. So I've got some GoPro footage of the ride. I'm going to splice in here, give you a little bit. I haven't looked at it yet, so let's take a look at the GoPro footage.